Drop it like it's
Thank you for making me say that.
Drop it like it's hot.
Hot spot.
Okay,
Yes.
right. This is a shout out to Snoop Dogg. And of course, I've met Snoop Dogg and he gave me a death row chain, which I've got here somewhere. So this is for you, Snoop.
I think this is actually a female comment.
Right.
So this is good. So a bit different. Enjoyable presentation. I majored in history in college, and World War II was and is my favourite era to study. I'm always learning more and more and appreciate efforts like you've put forth here. Thanks for the breathtaking views and the interesting commentary.
Thank you. Drop it like a top. Spot. Welcome to another edition of Funkmeldung, this time on the video of the Hitler walk at Berchtesgaden, which at the time of this Funkmeldung was posted 6 months ago. And you were there, Jerusha.
I was.
Did the Hitler walk with me. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the messages. Before we do, let's have a look at some of the analytics, because this is always very interesting. Most of the people were males, 95.2% of the viewers were male. Is that surprising?
Hugely.
It's hugely surprising. The age bracket, 35%, 55 to 64 years old. Is that surprising? Actually, that surprises me a little bit. I would have thought
Younger?
slightly younger, maybe by a decade or two, but the baby boomers are watching the Hitler walk, or perhaps this channel. Thank you, baby boomers. And 30% 65 or older. So yeah, it's definitely baby boomer generation. Perhaps not so surprising. Top geographies, the United States coming in at 26.6%. Second top region to view this video was Germany, 15%. Now that I find very surprising. First of all, there's the language barrier, and second of all, Germans are a bit scared about their past and are taught history very differently in Germany. So good to see. Dankeschön für alle die deutschen Kameraden, die meine Show angucken. United Kingdom 8.4%, France 4%, and then the Netherlands 3% after that. So thank you to all of the international visitors to the channel. The other interesting stat, Jerusha, is it's had 7,000 hours of watch time in 6 months, which is pretty high. 7,000 hours of watch time and 90,000 views in 6 months. So very happy with that. What made the Hitler walk a success on the channel is that at the time of posting it, 6 months ago, it is the only video, and may still be the only video, of the full Hitler walk from start to finish. And initially I thought this may not be particularly engaging for the viewers because all we're doing is walking. And usually Klovekorn the Relic has a lot of historical and educational content. And on this occasion it was literally just walking with a bit of a storyline and a narrative to keep some interest. But I thought, is this going to work? Are people going to be watching a half an hour video on YouTube where we're just walking? But people do, they love it. So we will have to do something very similar again. Funkmeldung is all about your comments. It's about you commenting about the video, positive and negative, and my wife is now going to go through the comments. I haven't read the comments, I haven't seen the comments, I haven't prepared for the comments, so we're all going to be listening to the comments for the first time. If you've made a comment, your comment may come up. Now we've had, in 6 months, how many comments? 271 comments, very highly rating video in terms of the engagement. When you've got hundreds of people commenting on a video, it means there's a level of interest there that we need to address.
I like this comment. I'm not in favour of destroying history, regardless whether it was good or bad. That tea house never hurt anybody, and it would have been a place to reflect. And that had 96 likes, so a lot of similar sentiment throughout the comments. And that was something I definitely said a lot of times when we were there. It was very disappointing to see history erased.
Yes, the Germans love to erase history, and it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you can't learn from erased history. That's the first point I'd like to make. The second point is there's no rhyme or reason to erasing certain bits but keeping others. You go to, the 20,000 roomed Hitler Hotel of Prora on the northern coast of Germany. Watch the Klovekorn the Relic Hunter video on that extraordinary relic, which has been completely converted to beachside accommodation for the modern German. So people can live inside a Hitler building on the one hand, but on the other hand, some small tea house gets demolished. It just makes no sense. So I think we're all in agreement there.
Don't think I've ever seen anybody show this walk from start to finish. Great work. And again, 92 people liked that.
Excellent.
So
Thank
a lot
you.
of people enjoyed the walk. We actually loved making the walk. It was a beautiful walk, and the view at the end was fantastic, and we had a lot of fun recreating some photos at the end.
What is extraordinary is you're walking down from the Berghof, and then to the right is Goering's forest where he would have hunted, and where so many dignitaries would have walked on that walk. The people have gone, the history's over and done with, but the walk is still there, and you can walk that walk and you can sort of take it all in. It's an extraordinary piece of history, really.
Chris Abbott, Mindset Coach 9224, says, having just returned from Berchtesgaden and trying to squeeze everything into a full day, my 17-year-old son and I parked behind the golf club and walked across the golf course in search of the lookout without knowing exactly where to locate it. Thanks to your video, I now know that when we got the top back portion of the golf green, we hopped the barbed wire fence, and rather than turning left and getting there in literally 2 to 3 minutes, we mistakenly went right and ended up finding a one-man concrete bomb shelter, guard post, and then we lost daylight. I am so frustrated that we were literally so close and yet so far. Looks like I will be back again to cover this area more extensively. Thank you for sharing this video. For history buffs like myself, these provide invaluable information.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you for your positive comment. Thanks for watching the show. Wonderful to hear that you're out there running around in the forest with your 17-year-old son. I hope he watches the show. And watch all the other Klovekorn the Relic Hunter shows in relation to Berchtesgaden in particular. We've got the Bormannhaus ruins, world first discovery there recently. We've got the Berghof, the theatre hall video, Hitler's tomb video. So have a look at all those videos and then plan a trip back with your son and re-engage with that beautiful Bavarian landscape.
Yes, trying to do all that in one day is a fair effort. Opoxius 1592 says, even 10 years ago they still demolished the last remains of the tea house. Totally absurd. You can find footage from 2014 where an excavator is doing the unnecessary job of destroying history. Thanks for this great video.
Thank you.
Gennaro Savastano 9224 says, thank you for amazing video. It's been a long time since I've been seeing notifications from you on YouTube. I agree it's very interesting that war criminal statues still stand across west and east, but Tiny Tea House had to be completely eradicated. Luckily they weren't able to complete even that, and the foundation stands. Great old German craftsmanship. Nice little plug for the Germans there. Allied rabid destruction hysteria is very disgusting to me. The length they went to destroy everything possible shows you how paranoid they are. As they say in my Heimat, hat is burning on thief's head.
What is also really interesting, and thanks for the comment, is when the Germans steal war loot and take it back to Germany and display it in their houses, it's reported as stealing, and it's a moral depravity. Depravity? Moral depravity. But when the Allies steal war loot, they put it into museums in France, at the Louvre, and with the British Museum, and all the colonial periods. And they've literally stolen everything possible, granite statues and bits of the pyramids. But that's okay. If you're the Allies, you can steal stuff. If you're a bunch of Nazis, you can't. Double standards to me.
Joseph Berger 7045 says, I was stationed in Berchtesgaden in 1984, 218th MP Co. Best duty station ever. I can imagine. Berchtesgaden is stunning.
How many German beers did you drink, Joseph? Well, yeah, so thanks for your comment, Joseph. And of course, how do I say this diplomatically? Germany, of course, even up to the present day, is still an occupied country. It has American bases everywhere. You don't see any German military bases in the USA or anywhere else for that matter, and the Americans are still in Germany. Now we have wonderful relations with the USA, of course, and many Americans stayed and married German wives or German women. But yes, lots of US soldiers were stationed, particularly in the Cold War, in Germany. And although a lot of those American bases have now left, Germany still remains an occupied country.
Okay, KJ79 says, I visited the Mus Laneskopf in 2019 and the remains of the tea house were still visible. Someone is taking care of the place. The railings had been partially renewed back then. The place offers a beautiful view and history anyway, which is true. It is a beautiful view, absolutely. Drop it's like it hotspot.
Drop it like it's...
Thank you for making me say that.
Drop it like it's hot.
Hot spot.
Oh, okay,
yes.
Right. This is a shout out to... This is a shout out to Snoop Dogg. And of course, I've met Snoop Dogg and he gave me a death row chain, which I've got here somewhere. So this is for you, Snoop.
I think this is actually a female comment.
Right.
So this is good. So
Wonderful.
A bit different. Enjoyable presentation. I majored in history in college and World War II was and is my favourite era to study. I'm always learning more and more and appreciate efforts like you've put forth here. Thanks for the breathtaking views and the interesting commentary.
Thank you. Drop it like it's hot. Spot.
Malcolm Moody 6512 says, wow, thank you for posting this. Would you be able to do another walk with then and now pictures? That would be great. That would be an effort.
Malcolm, one of the frustrations I have is that all of the wonderful photos from the Nazi era are all copyrighted. And I actually spend thousands of dollars each year. All of the photos you see on the Klovekorn the Relic show, if I put them up, say for example the video on the Bormann house has photos of Bormann with Hitler, I pay for those. And they're very expensive because, I try to follow the rules as much as I can, certainly in relation to copyright. And so it does become a very expensive proposition to find some of those photos and then pay for all of them. In my video on the Imperial Nazi Showgrounds, you'll see a very famous piece of footage of 50,000 German soldiers, not with rifles, but with spades. And Hitler goes to the podest and thereafter they plant over 1 million trees. And that 3 seconds of footage cost $5,000 in terms of German copyright law. So the Germans are making money out of Nazi copyright law. I'll let you draw your own conclusions around that.
But you can't visit a tea house.
You can't visit a tea house.
Seems like a small oxymoron there.
Yeah.
Savastrike 5571 says, what a beautiful place. Great video. Many thanks for the tour. I definitely need to visit this place. It is. It's stunning.
Thanks, Strike.
William Bradford 352. Thank you for sharing this historic and challenging walk. Very well done. Thank you.
Thank you, William.
Marcus 4123. He did this walk in the afternoon.
Ha! Marcus! Yes. Yes, look, not all of my commentary, in all cases, should be taken seriously. That was a little bit of sarcasm. Now, of course, Hitler didn't rise early in the morning at 6 a.m. to do the Hitler walk. That's because Adolf worked. He always used to say 5 Minuten nach 12 is when he would down his tools, so 5 minutes past 12. So if the Führer is working till 1 a.m., he's not going to get up at 5 to do the walk. Okay, so that's why he got up at 11:30, okay, to do this walk, because he was working till 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning.
Danny K 1352. Only took 6 days and tons of scrolling for the algorithm to show me you had a new upload. Better late than never.
Thanks, Danny.
Scott Lindsley Having watched several videos of this area/walk in anticipation of a summer visit, yours is by far the finest, Duncan.
Thank you. It was the easiest video to make because all we're doing is walking, but tremendous.
UK prepping shop. Hi, I'm told there is rusted relic of his VW Beetle car used for transport beside that wall. Not that we saw.
Not that we saw, and we'd be happy to do another version of the walk, perhaps where we're walking either side of it. But of course, although he's responsible for Volkswagen, the people's car, which was originally called the KDF-Wagen or Kraft durch Freude Wagen, strength through joy wagon that got the Germans out into the German countryside. He, of course, drove Mercedes.
Johnny Jumpstart, thanks so much. I was in town with a tour group for 3 nights last May and didn't understand why we didn't take a quick stroll to see the tea house site. Now I understand that it wasn't quick at all and that most of our group wouldn't have been able to make the round trip. Well done. I had a comment on our heavy breathing on the video.
Johnny, we barely made it. Watch the recent video that was posted on metal detecting at Berchtesgaden, and we're both doing a lot of panting in that video because we spent the whole day walking up and down Berchtesgaden, and maybe it's the thin alpine air, or we're just getting old.
It was steep. That's what it was.
It was steep, yeah.
Motorhead, awesome video. The song at the most critical part of the path with falling trees was really somber. I almost could see ghost soldiers around. Lol, loved it.
Motorhead, yes. Bit of a spiritual comment there, perhaps, but I agree with you. For anyone who is into this type of history and anyone who's into Berchtesgaden, there are definitely some old ghosts of perhaps Leibstandarte, Adolf Hitler walking around, still seeking to protect the place. I don't know, but it is can be quite an awkward feeling walking around there.
Dan Peters from the UK, excellent content. Your channel is excellent. I very much enjoy watching your knowledge in absolutely outstanding. It's absolutely outstanding. It's great to see for historical purposes, and I very much appreciate the effort you put in. Thank you from the UK.
That's Dan Peters.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for the wonderful compliment. And I get into a lot of trouble with this channel, and a lot of my content on Instagram and TikTok actually gets removed and banned. You know, I'm a historian, I'm a qualified historian, and I try to provide information, historical information, educational information in context, and for some reason that gets me into a lot of trouble, even if I'm speaking the truth or just presenting factual information. Some people don't like it, some governments don't like it, so I've been banned on a lot of platforms. So thank you for your positive feedback.
MJZF8TB says, thank you for filming this walk, very interesting. GMUS says, fantastic video. I tried to find this place last year but couldn't find the track. I won't miss it next time now. My wife also struggled with the walk back. Look forward to viewing your other videos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Delboy56, it's truly shocking to imagine the evil deeds that were planned whilst walking through such peaceful and picturesque scenery. Many thanks for sharing this walk through history.
Well, what was that? Delboy?
Yes.
You're right, Delboy. War is a horrible, horrible thing, and mostly young men, but also a lot of victims of war, women, children, and the elderly, get caught up in the horrors of war. And of course, war is terrible. But I always contextualize these sort of thoughts by saying all sides committed horrible crimes. The dropping of the 2 atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki being one of the many Allied crimes, and there's a whole list of them, many hundreds of Allied war crimes. And of course, the Nazis committed war crimes. And we should contextualize that and say, war is a horrible thing for everyone, for the soldiers and the civilians on both sides.
James Roseberry 3823 says, I had ideas to do this walk in early December last year, 2023, but a blizzard covered the whole area in snow on December 1st, so it made the walk impossible. Very disappointing. Thanks for doing this. How such awful things could be planned surrounded by such beauty is beyond me. That's what war does, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thought. People are looking at this video and reflecting on the evil deeds, and I guess my understanding is Adolf and his entourage would be situated at the Berghof with that massive bay window overlooking the German Alps, whilst Wagner was playing in the background, and they were truly thinking about doing things very differently. If you look at the 25-point program of the Nazis, which I've covered in my shorts section on YouTube, they're a very left-wing, very socialist-orientated political platform, looking after the elderly, educating children, no child slavery, so a very left-wing orientated program. And I think when the Nazis started out, their vision for their empire was very different to, say, by the 1940s, 1941, 42, when they were realizing their dreams of empire were collapsing on all fronts and things took a turn.
Century City, I have never seen this walk before. Many thanks for showing it to us all. Where can one buy your books?
Oh, my books. Best place to purchase the 99 Degrees of Freemasonry, which is one of my books, or Nazi Clandestine Freemasonry, which talks about the Thule Society. It's the world's first translation of the Thule ritual, and of course the Thule Society is the secret society behind the National Socialist German Workers' Party. That book and the other book, like I've written on Asatru, the ancient religion of the Norse people and Germanic peoples. Amazon, go to Amazon, and that's where you can find my books. Thank you for the comments.
Brian James, thank you for posting this video. Short, sharp and shiny.
Thanks, Brian.
HRVO GTU2, always wanted to visit this place. A lot of people wanting to go there, which is, go there. It's amazing.
Watch the other videos.
Yes, that too. But
because you'll see there's more than just the Hitler walk, you know? The theatre hall, the Berghof,
yes,
obviously the Kirstein House, Hitler's Eagle's Nest, got footage of that. We got primary access when no one else was up there. That's a great video to watch.
Yeah.
Plenty to see. Go to Berchtesgaden and respect the locals and drink their wonderful beer. We love it. We're there every year.
Wandering Warrior 5626 says, now that I no longer live in the US, moved to the Balkans 13 years ago after retiring, I can revisit many old sites like this throughout Germany and Austria that I did 20 plus years ago in the snow and cold, spending much more time in that particular area, most likely by myself, as my Russian wife isn't keen on my fascination with that time in history. Thanks so much for making this really nice video with no annoying tourists around, most having no interest in history, only to say they've been there.
Wandering Warrior, thank you for your positive comments, and some of the older Klovekorn the Relic Hunter shows on YouTube actually have 360-degree virtual reality videos. So if you buy yourself a headset like a Quest 3, you can put that on and you can actually be engaged in a virtual reality walk through some of these sites. And you have a Russian wife. That's very interesting, considering the current conflict there in the Ukraine and Russia. So we hope she's doing well.
Cyberdyne Mechatron, some of these names testing me. Thank you very much. Finally, we can see the complete walk from the Berghof to the tea house.
Thank you.
Guido's dad, thank you. Was there recently, was unable to make that walk. Enjoyed this very much. I hope to return soon and follow that path. I'm very excited by the amount of people who are inspired to go and visit there after we've done this video.
Guido's dad.
Yes.
I know quite a few Guidos, so I don't know whether it's anyone I know. But perhaps the Berchtesgaden Tourist Office should be sponsoring Klovekorn the Relic Hunter, because these videos are bringing people in to Berchtesgaden. Although, and I don't want to offend anyone by saying this, but what makes Berchtesgaden so special is that so few people know about it. Okay, that there's not too many tourists. So are we shooting ourselves in the foot? Don't know.
Invictus3598, a fantastic video. Thank you for allowing us to experience a nearly forgotten piece of Hitler's personal history. Tragic that nearly all of the building from that period were destroyed.
Yes, thank you, Invictus. Agree entirely.
Incorruptus1, thank you very much for uploading. I always had this as a burning question, which walk he would undertake, since it is spoken of in a lot of texts. So thank you for creating this. I must admit, I've read quite a few books on Hitler, and also reading through his daily walks and so forth down there, going to see it for myself was something else. It was really, really, really interesting.
Yes, and you know, Hitler would walk, and he would have his dog Blondie with him, of course, and there were a number of different routes, as I've explained in the video, and some people have pointed out we've gone the wrong way. We haven't gone the wrong way. There are numerous ways to undertake that walk, so we've chosen the most general way. It would have been a huge honour, to meet the Führer at that time, but to go for a walk with him, that would have been something rather special. And dignitaries undertook the walk, family members undertook the walk, generals, people in his war cabinet, Albert Speer, people like that. And there would have been a bit of a chat about what's going on in the empire and what should be done. And perhaps people also took the opportunity to share their thoughts on this walk. So it's a tremendous piece of history.
Paul Hargreaves, fantastic video, really enjoyed it. Yes, it was very bizarre that they demolished the little tea house, but spared the more grandiose Kelstein house, for example. Many thanks for the upload.
Thanks, Paul. Doesn't make sense, does it?
Rad Chenister, thanks for the video. You have a new subscriber. It's interesting to see these places and attempt to contextualize the facts in our modern world.
Thanks, Rad, and we need more subscribers. So thank you for subscribing, and we need about another 50,000.
User W9GR9XM8P, spring is the best time to take photographs to identify ancient areas.
Well, and we would say spring and summer is the best time to go to Berchtesgaden, full stop.
True, but in winter we could see a lot more.
We could see so much more.
Because there wasn't so much foliage and undergrowth and so forth, so
Yes.
it goes both ways.
It does.
Nelke7685, if Hitler had embraced the energy of light, he would be remembered positively for centuries to come, but unfortunately he embraced the energy of darkness, leading millions of followers into the abyss. This place appears to have been untouched since the 1930s. Who owns this land?
I believe the Bavarian government owns the land, and thank you for sharing your perspective.
C Saint 6780, that's a great video of the walk, thanks. Zeus 2024, thank you so much, loved this.
Thanks, Zeus.
Charlie Yellowstone, presumably from America, thank you for this video, it was very interesting. We fought the wrong people. General George S. Patton.
Ah, Charlie, what a controversial comment. Usually I make the controversial comments, and Charlie, you are now officially in trouble for making a controversial comment. The LS fought the wrong people? What? Oh goodness, if I said that, wow. Anyway.
SI Royal. Wow, brilliant walk. Never seen the whole walk before. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Gerard Majax. Thank you, great video. It would be interesting to know by which road Hitler was driven back to the Berghof from the tea house, as it seems lost in the middle of the woods. Was there a road close to it? If yes, is it still in use? On Google Earth, there seems to be dirt roads south and west of the tea house, but it's difficult to evaluate the slope, knowing that Hitler would never be able and willing to climb a steep slope before reaching his car, as he was physically weak and didn't like physical effort.
Yes, of course, the Führer was very sick as well, and wasn't long before he committed suicide. But a lot of those roads were changed by new construction efforts, by the huge bombing that happened there in Berchtesgaden, which required new pathways to be installed.
Jan F. Vanacturn, this was originally written in German, so hopefully the translation relates. Henning, thank you very much for your outstanding work. I've been able to visit the Obersalzberg restricted area for the Führer several times, but you go much deeper into the topic with your knowledge and offer completely new insights. Did you know the pages Beggar Film and Beggar Film History in Motion here on YouTube?
If that is a German, then that's probably Jan. And Dankeschön, Jan. And I'm aware of those YouTube sites. As I've said, the copyright problem means that I can't use half of those films, or more than half.
Artie Mountford says, my dear late friend Ingrid Schaffenberg, owner of Turken, introduced me to Herbert Doring way back when he was Hovertswalter of the Berghof, and a very amusing, entertaining man. Sadly, they are all gone now.
Yes, the former owner of Hotel zum Türken was an incredible lady, and I had the pleasure of meeting her on a number of occasions.
John Hobbs, fantastic, so interesting to go on the actual walk. One point you mentioned that Hitler's dog Blondie died faithfully by his side, when the truth, as far as I'm aware, is she was murdered by Hitler before he killed himself.
Absolutely she was. So Hitler wanted to test his cyanide capsules and tested one of the cyanide capsules on Blondie.
So she died by his side?
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I'm
not quite sure what the...
I don't think I said anything different in the video.
You said he died faithfully by his side, when the truth, as far as I'm aware, she was murdered by Hitler before he killed himself. Yeah, so if Hitler gave the dog the cyanide tablet, she was right there by his side.
Yes.
So I don't understand what's misunderstood there.
So, if it wasn't clear before, Blondie spent all her time with Hitler in the Führerbunker in Berlin, and was with him pretty well all the time. She was a very faithful companion to Adolf, and it would have been very hard for Adolf to kill his dog, his German Shepherd. That would have been very difficult for him. But what would have happened to Blondie after the war? She would have been shot anyway, more than likely. So he murdered, yes, killed his dog, because he was about to commit suicide. From his point of view, that was probably the best outcome for his dog. At least then he could see that she had a peaceful ending.
Stormbringer 67, very good video, thank you. What is the distance between the Berghof and the tea house?
Stormbringer. As I'm unprepared for these comments, I can't give you an exact figure. Darling, you were there. As the crow flies, it would be probably something like maybe 800 meters or something like that.
I was going to say a kilometre, so
yeah,
roughly.
Maybe, as the crow flies, directly, flight distance. But if you actually walk it, it would be several kilometers.
Yeah. Dennis Rowe, 7891, such a beautiful area. I've always wanted to visit Germany and England, as that is where my family came from a long time ago. Thank you for this walk.
Thanks, Dennis. And of course, all of the English are in fact Germans, because the English were settled by the German Saxons and Angel tribes, and therefore that makes you a full-blooded German.
Peter Cliff, fantastic walk with lovely scenery too. This walk would be even better in the winter snow. Love the cap. Where did you get it?
Oh, Peter, I get a lot of comments about my Klovekorn the Relic hunter cap. A lot of people ask, because they would like to buy the cap, and perhaps on the channel, when we reach 100,000 subscribers and a play button, I will make the cap, the Klovekorn the Relic hunter cap, publicly available. It of course bears the cockade of the Kaiser of the former empire, and it is a cap worn in the northern parts of Germany. Most of the seafaring captains wear that cap, and the Klovekorn family comes from North Germany, and it is actually the cap of the Kameradschaft Klovekorn, or the Sippe Klovekorn, so a family clan.
Terry Sales, thank you for your video. I discover you, and I remember when I visited this site in 1985. Your video makes me want to go back there. Continue, please.
Thanks, Terry.
Stefan Boetz, we visited Berchtesgaden a few times, but we had no clue where the old tea house was or how to get there. Next time I will know where to walk to. Thank you for this nice historic video.
Thanks, Stefan.
Elvis X, this was a very worthwhile watch. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Elvis.
JMP64 says, any idea what the new owners of the Hotel zum Türken were going to do with it? Also, comment on Bomber Harris is spot on. Why the need to destroy an intimate little tea house in a most beautiful, serene setting is beyond me. Great series, thank you.
Thank you for those comments. And yes, how can you have statues of Bomber Harris? How can you do that? Okay, but then at the same time, destroy tea houses in Berchtesgaden. It's ridiculous, okay? Double standards plus, but that's what happens in history. In relation to the comment, what was the other part?
What was the new owner going to do?
Oh, the new owner of the Hotel zum Türken. Well, it was Hotel zum Türken for many decades, and now it's just zum Türken. It's just a private residence now, and you can't even gain access to the Hotel zum Türken bunker system, which adjoins the Hitler bunker system. And if any member of the family that's bought Hotel zum Türken is listening to the show, please let the public enter the bunker system you have. It's a really important piece of history. When we were there last, though, we had been told that vast parts of the Hitler bunker system at Berchtesgaden have been flooded in recent years, and that it's more of a health and safety reason. So that's very unfortunate, and perhaps some funding, state funding, should go into preserving the bunker systems.
Premier Yacht, I was in Berchtesgaden in 2022 and went to the Eagle's Nest. I need to go back and do this walk.
Thank you. And yes, there's a Klovekorn the Relic Hunter show on the Eagle's Nest. Watch that, please.
Jeffrey Hughes, excellent and informative video. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Krista Applegren, absolutely great. Thank you. Christopher Marks, a few weeks ago on a hot day, I followed your route down to the Overlook. I carried 25 pounds of camera gear, lenses in a backpack. Returning to Hitler's driveway was a serious ass kicking. Another car came in to park and I could tell they were Americans too. Feeling tired and frisky, I said, hey, Hitler said he doesn't want you parking in his driveway. We had a good laugh.
Well, thank you to the comment from Krista, and thank you to the comment from Chris. And yes, when you're at the Hitler House ruins, Chris is right, every half an hour or so you're going to get people walking up there. And because there's no signage, there's no, you know, you have to know where you're going, because the German government and the Bavarian government don't tell you, you know, this is the route to Hitler's house. So people eventually find it. And it's so funny because everyone's a bit quiet and they're a little bit suspicious of each other, and you know, should we be here, shouldn't we be here? And once you then talk to these people, and you can be fellow historians and history buffs and World War II buffs, it's like you're part of the most fabulous secret society in the world, because we all open up. And I mean, when we were there, we had a number of people come up to us and talk to us, and they even took photos, and it was wonderful.
B. Murenthaler, footwalk noise is great, like soldiers walking in noise.
Murenthaler, good German name. I think there was I've heard before people saying I put in an added track of marching German soldiers at the beginning of that Hitler Walk video.
No.
But I'm sorry to disappoint everyone, I'm not that imaginative. There is no second track, musical track of German, you know, jack boots. Those were the boots of Jerusha and myself, that's it.
They were. Desbo 900 SS, very enjoyable. Tragic that the tea house was destroyed. Hello, Desmo.
Yes.
Fast Eddie, that was an excellent walk. People come and go, but mountains remain.
Yes, Eddie, they certainly do. And what is in those mountains is the next question.
Die here. Do you take others on this walk? I'd love to accompany you in June when I plan a visit.
What was the name of that person?
Die here.
Die here. Well, Die here. Almost every video that is posted has the question, do I take people on historical walks at Berchtesgaden? And Jerusha and I have a 10-year plan to purchase a property at Berchtesgaden, and if I'm still alive, then we'll certainly make that happen. So if everyone can wait about a decade, then we'll move from beautiful Australia to beautiful Berchtesgaden, settle down and offer some tours.
Brian Beatons, any chance for guided tour?
Oh, Brian, got a tour. Sorry, Brian, wait 10 years, please, and then we'll have a Schlenkerler beer at one of the pubs and enjoy a tour.
Cliff Gray, outstanding, good sir. Much thanks to you and your wife for sharing this beautiful walk into history. I wish someday to visit Obersalzberg and explore everything.
Cliff, thank you, Cliff, and it's another person we're bringing to Obersalzberg. And thank you for acknowledging my beautiful, charming wife, because she's awesome, and I love it when she goes on relic hunter missions.
Royal Wand, just wondering, and have wondered for a long time, if that wooden seat was the original wooden seat where Hitler used to sit.
Well, yes, I have wondered that too. The wooden railing, unfortunately, is not original. That's been replaced. And I believe the wooden seat has also been replaced, unfortunately.
Jeff Walden commented on it saying, no, the original bench was longer. It is long gone. Ricky T43515, I was stationed in Germany from 1969 to 1972 in the US Army and went to the Berghof a couple of times. The Army had turned a Hotel Platterhof into a resort hotel for US Army personnel. Beautiful views.
Ricky, is that his name?
Yes.
Thank you, Ricky, and thank you to all of the serving US soldiers who watch the Klovekorn the Relic Hunter channel and who spent obviously a lot of precious memories there in Berchtesgaden. The Plattlerhof Hotel was a huge hotel for dignitaries behind Hitler's house, and that was all destroyed during the bombing run. Except for one hall, which is still there and which you can still go into and access. And of course, underneath that is a very elaborate bunker system, which includes a bunker that has a shooting hole in it. And Eva Hitler used to shoot her pistol in that hall. And a lot of those bunkers are still down there. And perhaps one day we'll access them somehow.
Mr. Mars Bonfire says, I have stayed at the Hotel zum Türken and also found the walk you have done. Hitler used to get a ride back to the Berghof after his visit to the tea house. It was good to take that walk again with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mars, and you are very fortunate to have stayed at Hotel zum Türken. You are so fortunate.
Patrick Cosgrove, great video and well presented too. Fascinating to think Hitler walked the very same paths. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Patrick.
That is definitely a thought that goes through your mind over and over again when you go to all these historic places. These people walked this path. They touched these things. They saw these things. It's a big part of it. A.R. Brimmer says, thanks for making the hike for all of us. Beautiful land, forests and mountains.
Thank you, A.R. Brimmer. So true.
Chucky says, thank you, love from England.
Thank you, Chucky.
John McGarry, great production. I was there last year and I loved it.
Thanks, John.
Tim Hunter, great video. Thank you, God bless.
Thank you, Tim, and may the gods bless you too.
Alexander V, this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander.
Ron Stanek, Hitler had a nice walk and can see why he was driven back home. Great video. Yeah, so could we after. Drop Bjorn, thank you very much, but in German.
Okay, Bjorn, thank you.
Canarican, it's hard to imagine that evil, dark decisions were made in such beautiful surroundings. They must have thought they were gods up there above everyone else. Fascinating video, thank you.
Certainly when you go to the Kehlstein house, the Eagle's Nest at the very top of that mountain, just over the Berghof there, on certain days you have this whole layer of white clouds just underneath the eagle's nest, and one does feel as though one is sitting in Asgard, and one certainly does feel rather superhuman.
Darren Walsh, brilliant, excellent video, thank you, so informative.
Thanks, Darren.
John Zubil, I just subbed. I was wondering who built those structures on such rough terrain. Was it actually German citizens, slave labour, or a combination of both? And maybe I was paying attention, but why was the trail leading to the tea house basically left to nature to reclaim?
Well, John, if we look at a building such as the Kehlsteinhaus or the Eagle's Nest, that of course was Hitler's 50th birthday present, and that was largely organised by Bormann, his private secretary. And my understanding is that went out to tender, and German civil construction companies then built the Kehlsteinhaus. As is the case with the Allies, the Nazis also used slave labour, prisoners of war. My own grandfather was a prisoner of war in Britain after the war, and he was used as a slave labourer by the British, as were hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Germans used as slave labourers by the Allies after the war. Okay, so yes, the Germans also used prisoners of war as slave labour during World War II. This was not unique to the Germans, and slave labour was used for the construction of the West Wall, of the Atlantic Wall, of a number of structures at the Berghof, and Albert Speer, the armaments minister and Hitler's architect, did use that type of slave labour for many of these projects. And as a historian, I stressed a point that, well, yes, the Nazis used slave labour, as did the Allies. And there's a long list of that, whether you look at British colonialism, imperialism, or, as I've just said, the many hundreds of thousands of German prisoners, millions of prisoners in Russia who didn't do so well.
Sam P59, nice video. I did the same walk a year ago in April. You sure aren't going to sneak up on anyone? My built-in mic doesn't pick up my footsteps like that. I love the footsteps.
We don't even use built-in mics. We just record straight from the phone.
Yes, we
It's
do.
very simple.
George Harson did that same walk last September. Amazing how many bomb craters can still be seen in the woods before you reach the golf course.
Yes, George, it is unbelievable, because you see this big round half spherical crater. I'll call it a crater now, but when you first look at it, you don't think of it as a bomb crater. You just think, oh yeah, it's just some sort of hole, or maybe it was some old dam. No, they're bomb craters, and some of them are 30 meters in diameter.
Massive.
And it just goes to show the extent of the bombing. And it wasn't just Berchtesgaden, the Obersalzberg, that was bombed. Some of the towns leading up to Berchtesgaden were bombed, like Bad Reichenhall, for example, at the loss of many, many hundreds of civilians.
Now that's a true crime. Bombing is such a beautiful area. Paul Sino says, nice walk, and I bet you're a drummer because your footsteps are keeping good time. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I am a drummer, Paul.
Interesting video, and I did a landscape. So beautiful. Unfortunately, Hitler was a wicked soul. Thanks for sharing. James Duffy, fascinating content.
Thanks, James.
Andrew Gaffney, very enjoyable video. Thank you. Dragon43, outstanding video. RJ Doggett was there in 2017. I thought you would show the 1 or 2 man bomb shelter that was about 3/4 of the way down on the right hand side, a concrete cylindrical structure. We show many of them in lots of our different videos.
Yes, the various mole bunkers are shown in lots of other Klovekorn the Relic Hunter videos, but thank you for the comment.
Paulo Pereira, great video. I saw pictures of the demolition of the tea house. Ghost Rider, I'd give my right arm to be there. So much history.
Yes, Ghost Rider.
Simon Ray, ironically, his walking sounds like stormtroopers. Yes, we're the stormtroopers. Snowboarder 16, do you take people on guided tours?
Snowboarder, wait 10 years. Guided tours will begin.
Philip Marquez, a great video and a part of history. John Elliott, damn fascinating, thank you.
Thank you.
Kirk Mulhern, this was fascinating. Thank you for telling the truth about Dresden. It was a genocidal, unnecessary bombing of innocent civilians. Disgusting. All we can say is that those responsible did not get a pass on their last judgment. We pray that Germany is freed from the terrible elite that now rule it. We love Germany and its great people.
Oh, well, thank you. That's a wonderful comment. And we have just had the news that the Alternative für Deutschland, the AfD, has once again had great success in the polls in one of the eastern states there in Germany. And one of the leaders of the AfD there, a controversial figure, but I fully support the AfD, and doesn't bother me saying it, and I hope they do very well in the Bundestag.
John Wright, I would like to mention that from the destination of the tea house where the circular handrail and bench are, on a clear day, if you look straight out to the V shape in the mountains, you can see the castle on the hill in Salzburg that dominates the scene from all over the town. I could swear that I have seen recent photos taken in the last 10 years that show the rock foundation of where the tea house stood must have been destroyed recently.
Who was that from?
John Wright.
John, you're right. Pardon the pun. Of course, Adolf was Austrian, and he really liked Berchtesgaden because it's a stone's throw away from Austria. And he was able to access his Austrian heritage there as much as his German heritage, so to speak. And we went to Salzburg Castle, and there's a Salzburg Castle short on Klovekorn the Relic Hunter, and it's a beautiful castle, beautiful place. We also were there for Mass when one of the cardinals was in the cathedral, and that was quite special.
It was spectacular.
Yeah, they had a full orchestra.
The singing was like the angels were singing in heaven. It was unbelievable.
It was, yeah, we thought we had entered another portal into some special
Heavenly
place.
space. It was.
I remember the security guard at the front. He was saying, "This is for locals, or only for churchgoers." And I said, "Yeah, of course I'm a local, and of course I'm a churchgoer." And we walked in there, and it was something else, wasn't it?
It was eye-opening.
Sometimes you have to take risks, and that was worth the risk.
The pomp and ceremony of that.
Yes. Very Catholic.
Yeah. Very.
There was a lot of gold in that cathedral.
Yes. Ed Norton, 47. The walking didn't seem to benefit his health very much. Does the path retain any odour from his flatulence? He was lucky that he didn't have to contend with the Green Party and their zero emissions policy.
Yeah, okay.
Ed cracking a funny there.
Yes.
John Classical. Oh, so at 70, I love walking downhill. I wish to visit the Obersalzberg before Todd.
Tod is the German word for death.
Oh,
And I'm sure you will visit it soon. Book your flights now and take the walk.
Time Out Humanity says, wow, I had no idea they had a statue of the guy who bombed Dresden. What? That's crazy. Very much so. User 015XP, thanks for the great video work. Danny Boy, this is so awesome. You are treading the same gravels that the Führer tread. All of his buildings should have been kept and preserved and rebuilt. Do you realise how many people would make that pilgrimage and pay well to do all of this? Thank you for your hard work. I have said that so many times. As an Australian going there, I think if they had have left things in situ as they were and kept them as reminders of the past, you don't have to agree with the past to preserve it. It's there, it's preserved so that people think upon what happened when they go there. But it's harder to think upon it when it's just a slab in the ground. If the buildings had have remained, it would have had so much more impact. I think Germany did themselves a real disservice there in trying to cleanse their past. Definitely, people from all over the world would have come, and it would have been magnificent to see history left as it was.
Well, Danny boy, I wonder if you're Irish, because of course Hitler supported the Republic of Ireland and wanted to free it from British rule, and Hitler also supported a free India from British dominion, and he supported a free Iran from dominions. So I don't know, Danny boy, if you're Irish or not, but I thought I'd throw that in. In relation to your comment about the destruction of history, again, we have the Roman Colosseum. That's full of horrible moral failings of humanity, the slaying of Christians and so forth. Do we destroy the Colosseum because of that? No, we don't do that. What about the Crusades, where hundreds of thousands of civilians were murdered and raped, under the sign of the Christian cross? Does that mean we get rid of Christianity because during the Crusades all these horrible acts of terror occurred? Well, Christianity is still around. So why this unique position on Nazism? I'll tell you why. It's because the Allies are afraid that the Nazis could come back. That's why. And that's why these, inverted commas, relics are destroyed. But there's a very famous incident in the 1920s when the Sturmabteilung, Hitler's SA, was by law required to remove their brown shirts because they were called brown shirts. And the German government of the day thought, right, we've got these Nazis now under our control. We've told them that the brown shirts can no longer wear brown shirts. And the next day, Hitler had his whole Sturmabteilung division on parade with their bare chests. All right, so the banning of shirts made absolutely no difference, and removing old Nazi buildings makes no difference. National Socialism is a political movement, and if you believe in democracy, then you also believe in the right for freedom of conscience and political will and the rule of law. And if people want to be National Socialists, and whatever that term means, because there will be new forms of National Socialism these days, and even among the National Socialists there were plenty of National Socialists who disagreed with Hitler. There were plenty of National Socialists who disagreed with the deportation of Jews, for example. And there were plenty of National Socialists who tried to kill Hitler. There were good National Socialists, evil National Socialists, the same way you get good and bad Democrats, good and bad Republicans.
Mr. Holtstop says, in the 90s I was visiting the area, the Zumtürken Hotel. We were a few steps away from the Berghof. Nobody told us.
What?
Asking someone would have meant we were Nazis.
Yeah, if you ask somebody where the Berghof ruins are, you're a Nazi.
It does feel a little like that.
Thanks for the comment. It's a sad reflection of where we are today.
Old know-it-all, what a beautiful world we live in. I certainly think that every time I go to Berchtesgaden. Gym chess, not 100 years old, not 100 years ago though.
Oh, Jim, almost.
These literal people. Midnight Channel, beautiful walk, unequaled except in perhaps Montana, Colorado, Utah and Argentina. Post-war, the first few were obviously out, so you can understand why people accustomed to this beauty would choose to move there.
And sorry, love,
No, go ahead.
Let's not forget, National Socialism started in Munich, okay, and it was a Bavarian movement that initially supported the Weimar Republic, and then the Freikorps units, which included the Thulists, which later became the Nazis, they were formed initially to get rid of communism in Bavaria. So the whole idea of National Socialism sprung from Bavaria, and Berchtesgaden is quintessential Bavaria, Upper Bavaria. That's why they were all there.
Rabi Sard Guitars, very interesting video. I'm surprised that Hitler walked that distance. Obviously he walked with a much slower pace, but it's a good 5-kilometre walk. It's just sad to destroy part of history after so many years. Edward Bermudez says, I've been there 3 times, but never that path. That's awesome.
Okay, thank you, Edward.
Wandering Warrior, again, it seems the Goering tree is completely gone now.
The Goering tree, Wandering Warrior. You know a little bit about, or maybe much about this area. Yes, the Goering tree. At the top of the Obersalzberg, I do point it out in one of the videos. Isn't that video? There was an old Goering tree, and that was it was planted just to the, I'm not sure if it's the front or the back of Goering's house, but at Goering's house, and yeah, that's being demolished, unfortunately.
Kev Goes Wandering, great walk, great insight. Thank you very much. I like your story. Subscribed. That was in German, so German subscriber.
Dankeschön.
Paramaki, sounds like you have a bunch of stormtroopers marching right behind you. Shameful to demolish so much without good reason. At least most of the Atlantic Wall was too big to blow up. Lots on the Channel Islands, especially Alderney. Definitely worth a visit. Robbie Mick says, fantastic work.
Thanks,
Timothy
Robbie.
Moore, when was the tea house built?
Timothy, I think I stated that in the video, in the 30s. I also state who the architect was.
Mouse the German says, next time go there in summer, the scenery is much more spectacular. We have been there in summer and indeed it is glorious. Mauricio M says, great video, I didn't know about the tea house.
Yes, most people say the Kehlstein house is Hitler's tea house. Now, okay, they would have served tea at the Kehlstein house at the Eagle's Nest, but that was not his tea house. His tea house was, as per the video that we've shown, it was below the Berghof, not above it. It was a small little building.
It was much smaller than I expected it to be, actually. You know, when you see things in real life and it's like, oh, it's tiny. It was. User ZED5HE1UN4R, very interesting. Are there good hotels nearby?
Berchtesgaden is full of great hotels. We go to a very special place in Berchtesgaden. We won't say where that is, but a big shout out to Anton if you're watching, and we'll be seeing you again soon. But really, any of the hotels there are of excellent quality, and we recommend really any place in Berchtesgaden.
German hospitality in general is excellent. Lucifer Hell 5 says, that's really beautiful place. Would love to have a cabin in a place like that. But of course, not there too much tourists to handle.
No, Lucifer, if you have a spare 5 million euros, you too can have a small log cabin in Berchtesgaden.
Yes. It's the plan. Richard JP says, excellent. Nick Tatter says, brilliant video, but the dramatic music ruins the atmosphere. Okay.
Sorry, Nick.
Can't please everyone. The other gentleman loved it. Kai Frank says, that's unbelievable walking. I would rather be painting on my canvas. Adolf once was a watercolor painter when he was a young boy and homeless in Vienna in 1907 to 1910s. The Führer could be a great artist. It is much better than starting the war in 1939, I think.
Yes, of course, he wasn't accepted to the famous art school that he applied for, and will continue to paint. And there are some extraordinary Adolf Hitler paintings that are in many private collections, and one can purchase them if one has the resources to do so.
El Massage says, thank you very much. Very interesting. I hope that one day I can take that wonderful walk with my wife.
Oh.
Jack Kunkel says, excellent video. Somebody needs to draw a map of that trail. It's a shame they destroyed the tea house. It was history. The same applies to Hitler's bunker in Berlin.
Yes, of course, the Hitler bunker in Berlin is flooded. So that's, that would require a major engineering task to have that pumped and made safe again. But wouldn't it be just extraordinary if, they were to do that?
ID Ronco says, outstanding video in all caps. He was impressed.
I'm sure.
Jay Burgess says, this is very interesting from a historical perspective. In a way, it does seem like a shame to remove historical traces like buildings. It was the people who were guilty of crimes, not buildings. Here. However, I guess it's also understandable that the modern day German government wouldn't want these sites to become a kind of shrine. Personally, I think the answer would be to leave the tea house, maintain the path, but make it into a memorial for some of Hitler's victims.
Right, yes, we agree. It should have just been left. As for the idea of a shrine, well, whether it's there or if it's not there, people can still make it into a shrine. You can remove the building and people still go there and consider it a shrine. So, has the removal of the building really made any difference? And in relation to memorials to the victims of the war, and I stress on both sides, there are plenty of those, particularly in Germany. There are probably more Holocaust memorials than anywhere else on the planet.
Gerd93 says, to say Blondie died faithfully is a bit sporty, don't you think? It or she was a dog, and like any dog, probably needed a lot of physical persuasion to bite on the glass vial of cyanide. Just don't overtalk.
Yes, who was that comment by? Gerd, or Gert maybe. I guess I over-romanticized that relationship between Blondie and Adolf to the point where, I'm saying she died faithfully by his side. Yes, it is an animal, and but German Shepherds have one, as you would say in German, Herr, one master, and I think Blondie was just blindly loyal to her master, and so in that sense, I believe in that romanticism of her having died faithfully by his side.
I think if you ask any dog owner who's had a dog for a long time that spent as much time with their dog as Hitler did with Blondie, they would very much agree with dying faithfully by his side. Sumptuous landscape, I visited the fascinating Eagle's Nest. Max says, great. Mr. Polsko says, walked every inch. Emilio Alcazar says, awesome walk in Führer's steps. Patrick Calabro says, Hitler must have been in excellent condition to make such a long walk. Thank you. He must have just walked it slower.
Hitler always walked. When he was in his Eastern Front quarters fighting the Russians, he would also go for walks. Wherever he went, he would exercise.
Bregjabra, this was the coolest thing I have ever seen in my whole life.
Okay, thank you.
Wayne Hatton, perhaps when Frederick Barbarossa's red beard grows longer, it will be rebuilt. Sad. I wondered where that was going for a second. Jeffy Bonbon, we are a funny lot. I am watching a video of a footpath walked by a very evil man. I have never seen a video of walking the path that Churchill walked on a video. We are fascinated by evil. Why is that? No, I think it's because it is memorized over and over again in books of Hitler that he did this particular walk. It's a very particular walk, whereas I'm not aware of Churchill doing a particular walk over and over and over again and that being documented. So I think that's what it is. Plus it's a beautiful place to walk.
If we knew that Jesus of Nazareth, the Christ, had a particular walk he took,
Well, people flocked to the Mount of Olives because they knew Jesus was there.
I think we'd all want to walk it. Or
Yes.
if we knew that Julius Caesar, or Kaiser is the appropriate way of saying it, if we knew what pathway Julius used to take, I'd want to walk it. It's another way of engaging with history. It's a different way. It's a very dynamic, three-dimensional, five senses way of doing it.
And I don't know about it being fascinated by evil. The books I've read on Hitler, I've read to try and understand how things happened. I'm very fascinated by how history can come about. How do huge things like wars, Holocaust, genocide, how does that thing come about? How do people make those choices? And I don't think that's being fascinated by evil. I think it's trying to understand how humans get to that point.
But it's also how is it addressed? If you look at British colonialism and imperialism, where the British, ruled a quarter of the earth through brutality and the raping and pillaging of natural resources and human resources in other parts of the world. Well, up until very recently, that story or that narrative was covered with gold glitter. And it's only now, probably since the 1970s, 1980s, that the story of colonialism, its impact on the indigenous peoples of the world, etc., is actually being revised and looked at in a more balanced context. And really, that's what should be done with National Socialist history too.
169 says, thank you so much for this. It's just amazing knowing lots about these famous walks. It's just so amazing thinking that the man has on his mind as he walked through these trails and how many leaders of the world wanted him dead. P.S. I'm an American. We fought the wrong fight.
Oh, we've heard this again. Controversial thing to say.
Do it all. Whoa, pretty cool. Jacques Georges says, this determination to destroy the remains of an era is religious and completely counterproductive.
Correct, Jacques.
Cher Sheklazor says, this guy had a huge problem.
Is she
That
talking
I'm
about...
assuming, or you? Did you have a big problem?
I got more than just
Shay,
one big
you need-
problem. I got plenty of problems.
The big problem was next to him.
We're assuming she's talking about Adolf.
Yes.
Yes, he had some problems, some challenges.
Scotty says, nice, I'll be there in 33 days to take the walk. That was 5 months ago, so Scotty's been there.
Scotty, hope you enjoyed it.
Wilfred Korn says, how come the Americans destroyed something there in 1951 after they stole all other souvenirs? Ooh.
Yeah, so basically they ransacked the Berghof and took all of Adolf's belongings. So on the one hand, right, they say those evil Nazis stealing things from everywhere, but they did nothing different. They went in there and they gave some things back and other things they literally took home with them.
Hang on, those evil Nazis who they then transported back to America and used all their military, medical and scientific knowledge to
go to the moon.
further America.
Yes.
You can't have it both ways. You
Can't have
can't
it
say
both
the
ways.
Nazis are evil and then use them and give them amnesty in your own country because you want the knowledge that they hold. That's the kind of hypocrisy that I find really hard to swallow.
Debus, von Braun, all of the thousands of German scientists who were members of the SS and the evil Nazis, as soon as they could be useful to America, of course, they were suddenly, good men.
Repatriated somewhere over there. Yes. Anur... Okay, I'm not going to try and pronounce that. I'm very sorry. Don't destroy history whether it's good or bad. Why and what you want to hide from people, let them decide. What is right or wrong? Entire history of Germany has been destroyed. In India, the Mughals or British killed billions of Indians. Still, their monuments stand with pride. The Taj Mahal, Mumbai VT station, Kanugal place in Delhi, and so on.
Well, who was this person? Anurag Parivlogs. Anurag Parivlogs. My apologies, Arnold, if I got the pronunciation wrong, but it sounds like this person is from India, and certainly the point is being made that the British killed millions of Indians, and this is the point I've been making previously. It's portrayed as some sort of heroic deed within the British colonial period, when in fact millions of innocent Indians died, and then pick other colonies around the world, in Africa or elsewhere. History needs to be contextualized, both for the British as well as for the Germans.
Zilsbury, bravo. Demir, never mind Hitler and Nazis, the nature is breathtaking. Indeed. User ZH7GL and so on, I like your analysis.
Right,
that was
thank you.
German again.
Dankeschön.
Baz says, I don't understand why you show Bomber Harris in a bad light for bombing civilians, but do not say the same thing about Goering, who bombed England for months. And don't forget the Spanish Civil War, where they honed their skills.
Baz, it's a fair comment to make. Of course, I do not condone the German bombing of civilians in World War II or any other war. I don't condone them. It's evil to kill, murder innocent civilians, particularly those who are unable to defend themselves. The point, however, I continually make is that the focus is always on evil Nazis, and of course many Nazis were evil, but at the same time, while this judgment is laid out, no historical context or attention or focus is directed at the evil deeds of the Allies, and there were plenty of evil deeds by the Allies, including Bomber Harris or the bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Evil is evil, and evil occurred on the Allied side as it did on the Nazi side. Okay, and as a historian, I just want people, when they focus on a particular evil act of the Nazis, I would like them to contextualize that and also mention evil acts on the Allied side. That's all. It needs to be contextualized. It needs to be a balanced portrayal of history each time. Otherwise, what happens is young children only get one point of view, and that's not particularly helpful.
Glasspool says, wish I could get my metal detector on that land. I'd probably get thrown off.
Yes, watch the latest Klovekorn the Relic Hunter metal detecting at the Berghof series.
Okay, J. Honey Depp says, sorry for the stupid joke, but watching this video, I'm sort of listening to some ghost saying, Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer.
Yes, Jay, you can actually hear it if you listen carefully on the walk.
Kat Marco says, I noticed there was no wildlife there. Very eerie. They also say that about the death camps. That's not true, Kat. You can hear the birds in the background, and there was definitely wildlife there, but it's also in winter, so if you're looking for bigger wildlife, they're probably a little more hidden than out in the open where we were trying to walk around with other humans.
Yeah, fair point. Go there in spring, summer.
Thomas Pick, no need for the nervous music. Okay, didn't like music. Jelly Heart Camp says, I walked that.
Good work, Jelly.
And Ramu says, everyone who reads this, just imagine the relics the US government has that people of the world would enjoy seeing. Yes.
Well, interestingly, in the upper stories of the Berghof, Hitler had his private study, and Hitler was an avid reader, and one of his favorite series of novels was Karl May. And Karl May is a series of fictional books set in America in the period of the Wild West. So whilst Adolf was engaging in global warfare, he would often go to his library in Berchtesgaden and read Karl May novels, which was about the American prairie and the colonists in America and patriots fighting the Indians or the indigenous populations in America and the different characters in the Karl May series. And all of those Karl May books were stolen by US soldiers and brought back to private libraries in America.
Paul Anthony Bridge says, thanks a lot, Wehrmacht. Don't know if that's being funny or...
Thanks a lot, Wehrmacht. Danke, Paul.
And our last comment, anti-democrata. Wow, typical Aryan German.
Who was the comment by?
Anti-democrata.
Okay.
And these are German.
That's a good comment to end on. And that was the latest Funkmeldung here from Adelheid in South Australia about the Hitler Walk video as it reaches its 100,000 views. Any last comments, Jerusha?
No, thank you for joining us.